Hey guys, Bandy Wolf down here. This video is a structure guide for anybody wanting to complete all 60 achievements for the Seeds of Dragonspear portion of the Baldur's Gate collection for the Xbox One. It's meant as a addition to my individual achievement guide videos, so if you have any questions specific to each achievement, just click the link to that video. So to get all the achievements for Seeds of Dragonspear, you only need to do one playthrough, but you will need to do a bit of planning to get them, as well as save scumming. There are quite a bit of hidden achievements as well as either or achievements in this game. And because of how linear the game is and how you're locked out of map areas in previous chapters, I've organized this walkthrough by chapter so that you won't miss important pieces of each achievement. I've also put a complete section and an in progress section for each chapter so that you'll know what achievements you'll get in the chapter and which ones have a component in the chapter. Because again, backtracking is restricted and many achievements can be missed because you've skipped a component in a previous chapter. Before we get started, there are a few achievements that I need to address that have specific requirements or aren't easily categorized. First, there's one achievement that requires a specific stat value, which isn't unusual for other games like this, but it's the only one like it in Siege of Dragonspear. Painful Recital requires you to have a very low charisma to complete, so create a character and make their charisma as low as possible. If you don't want your character to be socially inept and have low charisma, you could create a burner character to grab this one in Chapter 8, as the first chapter, Chapter 7, is a relatively short one. Speaking of quick achievements that you can get with a throwaway character, if you create a fresh character instead of importing from Baldur's Gate 1, you'll start the game with all the party members needed to get the OG. The Explorer and Darkseer achievements can be grabbed in several places, so I wanted to give them a mention too. Explorer is literally random, so it depends on RNG, but I included both where I picked them up in my playthrough. The last two achievements I want to mention are Far Out and Riddle Master. Far Out requires an item with which you have 3 charges to interact with 3 spirits, after which the item is spent. There are plenty of spirits to choose from, but once you hit 3, you're locked out of interacting with any remaining spirits because there are no charges. So you'll want to make sure you save 1 charge of this item for Vidyadhar in Chapter 10, as he is part of another achievement, Riddle Master. Next, there are a few achievements that aren't missable. They're related to just progressing in the story. And once you get to the end of the game, you should have these 6 achievements. Finally, before we get started, there's a painfully large amount of achievements that are mutually exclusive to each other, and that's where the save scumming comes into play. You'll have to save beforehand and then reload to grab the other achievement or other achievements. Special mention goes to the achievement Riddle Master, as 2 of the 3 riddles you need to answer correctly for the achievement have achievements related to answering them incorrectly, so watch out for that. I've marked all these either or achievements in red. Alright, so let's get started. In Chapter 7, there's only a few achievements to grab and a few tasks to complete to set up for other achievements later in the game. The End of Korlash and A Long Journey aren't missable. Make sure to grab Know Thyself and Family Secrets though before you leave the starter dungeon, and then you can grab 4-on-1 in Baldur's Gate. Then grab the 4 NPCs, collect the Spectacles of Spectacle, and the First Spirit for these other 3 achievements. Next, in Chapter 8 is where you'll have to start saving and reloading for achievements. You'll need to fail to sing to the Menhirs and to answer the riddle in Painful Recital incorrectly, then reload and answer it right to set up Riddle Master later. Stone to Flesh you can complete now, and then reload to Buy the Golem to set up for all the allies. The same goes for Doomathoin's Disappointment and Strange Bedfellows. You'll have to kill the Lich, reload, and then don't kill him. There are also several other achievements to pick up here related to side quests, and several tasks to set up for later achievements. Chapters 9 and 10 are where the majority of the achievements can be found, so you'll want to make sure you know what's going on as you move through those chapters. In Chapter 9, you'll deal with the Ball Priest Madeleine. Resolving her side quest nets you 2 achievements here, saving and reloading for both. You'll also have to reload 3 times for the 4 different resolutions to Bridgefort Siege. Admit your identity, fight them back, sabotage the drawbridge, and then surrender the fort to set up all the enemies later. You'll also grab a large chunk of achievements related to side quests and complete the NPC Collectathon achievements, as well as set up some achievements in later chapters. Finally, there are 2 non-missable achievements near the end of the chapter. In Chapter 10, there are 2 sets of mutual achievements. Just make sure to save before dealing with the Druids and before dealing with Julan and Riga. Julan and Riga have 2 achievements to themselves that you can get both at the same time, but then you have to reload a second time to complete a step in another achievement. To set up for all the enemies achievement, just make sure that they leave for Dragonspear. Then there's the usual side quest achievements in this chapter. You'll finish NPC quests, you'll most likely pick up the Explorer achievement here, and potentially finish Far Out, and finally there's a non-missable achievement you can get. The remaining chapters are short relative to the previous 2 and don't have as many achievements. However, a lot of them are achievements with steps in the previous chapters that can be potentially missed if you didn't finish all the steps. These are things like all the allies and all the enemies in this chapter. After you kill all the enemies, you'll want to reload and complete the duel with Ashatil, and then make sure to sweep up the enemies behind the castle for the Thorough achievement, and that's the 4 achievements that are in this chapter. Chapter 12 has a few more than 11, but it's even shorter and even more streamlined, so the achievements are easier to pick up. You have another pair of achievements to save and reload for. Make sure you save before talking with Thrix so you can grab both of them. Also be aware that this is the last place that you can pick up Far Out achievements. As long as you've seen at least one other spirit before this chapter, you can grab 2 more here. After that, make sure to convince Kalar to help you defeat Belafet and get the last non-missable achievement. Then have her guard the door to hell on your way out for another. Chapter 13 is so small, it's ludicrous to even call it a chapter. It's mainly an extended cutscene. The 2 achievements left to get are save and reload ones. You'll have to defend yourself well enough to convince Belt of your innocence, and then reload and convince Corwin in the sewers of the same thing. At this point, you should have all 60 achievements here as you finish the cutscene with Corwin, but if you're like me, you missed a few steps for some achievements. A lot of the quests in Siege of Dragonspear are very intertwined with each other, and having to save and reload as you go can screw you out of some of the later achievements. However, the game itself is fairly short if you set the difficulty to story mode and speed through the cutscenes and fights, so grabbing 1 or 2 achievements you missed on a second playthrough would only take an hour or 2 if you know what you need to do. If you have any specific questions for specific achievements, check out the links here, or if you can't seem to find it answered, leave a comment with the question and I'll get an answer to you. Thanks for watching, and have fun grabbing 60 out of 60 achievements for Baldur's Gate Siege of Dragonspear.